It's time for the bumpers, because the bumpers on the TVR are in a very bad shape. They are ripped apart, and in fact the metal bar inside is so rusted that parts fall out. You see that? I can actually pull it open, and inside it's all rust. So I will have to replace them and put some new ones up. Now the stainless steel bumpers that I got from Bumper World are really nice in quality. They are good priced. And in fact, if you look on their website, it will tell you that you might need minor adjustments to the bumpers to fit them to your vehicle, because apparently, according to what they say, some of these TVRs have different fittings, so the holes could be off a little bit. Now that's very well possible, but when I looked on the ones that I got, that minor offset or that minor modification is a bit bigger than a minor modification. Now, of course, it's not very difficult, because it all depends what you're able to do and what kind of tools you have. So for me, this is not a major issue. It's a bit of work, but it's not drama. Nevertheless, be careful. Now, I have to be honest, when I called the folks, Bumper World, when I saw the bumpers on the internet, there was the note, some modifications might be necessary. So I called them up, and they were very honest. They told me, yes, not all the alignment might be perfect. Now, the good thing about these bumpers is that they do fit shape-wise. The only issue is that where they mount to the polyester body, these holes are in a different place sometimes, and there's an offset. Let me show you that offset, and that's the one we need to fix. This hole right here is quite offset, so it's not center at all, and that's the hole that is causing me problems. The other one is okay. It's a bit slanted, but that's all right, because I'm going to put some rubber up anyway. But this one is the one that we need to correct, and I have found a way to do this. Different ways or different approaches, but I'm going to show you my approach on how I did it. So just in case you haven't seen the previous video, I'm going to show you what the issue is. So if I line up the hole there, like so, you see how high that comes up. It's actually blocking off the light. Now that's about the position the bumper would be bolted onto the vehicle if I was using the original hole. I'm just going to do a double check one more time. Here we go. So that's way too high up, so there's no way you actually can remove the light lens at all. So that's not good. Also, the hole here isn't far enough, so it has to go a little bit further. Now there's a couple of options, of course. You can rework the polyester, drill holes, bigger holes, other holes, fill it up. I'm not going to do this. I don't like to do this on cars, especially not on a polyester car. I'd rather modify the bumpers inside, more specifically these little plates that are holding the bumper in place. I have one bumper already been aligned, as you can see, and now I have plenty of space underneath. I can take the lens cap off, and it fits pretty well, I think. So the shape fits, and also the holes are fitting. So I didn't have to do a lot of work on this. So I'm going to take this one off, and then I'm going to let you see what I've done for now. I just tagged something in place. It's not permanently in place. It's not finished. But that's the way I'm going to do it. So, and that works. So I'm just unbolting the inside now. Just take this tape away, because that was just to show it to you. Now here is a secret what I've done. See that? What I've done is I welded on a little piece here, actually a bolt. So now I have a bolt, and I have actually a nut. And that's okay, because you can mount one bolt and one nut, and that fits just nicely. And I made this bolt a bit in a special way. So normally you could actually drill a hole and put a nut in the back, but I didn't do that. I made a kind of like flat bolt, I don't know what you want to call it. Let me show you what that is. So all what it really is a stainless steel bolt and a stainless steel washer that I kind of tagged on real quick onto the mounting plate in the right position. And of course I aligned it first before I was welding it up. That's why I still see a bit of paint sitting on there. That was because I was spraying through the hole when I was aligning the bumper on the bonnet. But you'll see all this. So let me show you now on how I created this little attachment. And this one still has to be completely welded up. I haven't done that yet. And this was just to trial fit it. I initially placed the bumper on the car, and I sprayed through the hole of the bonnet onto the bumper, and that's the white paint you see, so I could see the exact spot where I had to put the bolt. So then I took another stainless steel bolt, a new one. I grind it off the top, and then I actually welded that part onto a stainless steel washer, and then the whole thing went onto this panel exactly on the white spot where it was supposed to be, and I just tagged it in place for now. And this is how I did it. So let me give you a view on how I created that attachment. So if you're going to weld on these bumpers, on these brackets, then you have to make sure that you know what kind of material these brackets are. And that's why a magnet is always very handy. So a magnet won't stick to a stainless steel bumper or a stainless steel plate in general. It just doesn't. So that's the check you should do. So now I know this is stainless steel in total, even the brackets. So I got a hold of some stainless steel bolts and some stainless steel washers, and that's how I'm going to make a bolt that will be welded onto the inside bracket of the bumper. And as I said before, I'm going to use a washer, and we're going to weld this up on the top here. But before I do so, I will have to grind off the head of the bolt. Otherwise, I can't weld it flat onto the top. Now, of course, this is going to stick out with about 1 millimeter, but that doesn't really matter. 1 mil doesn't really matter at all, I would say, for the bumper sticking out a bit more forward. All right, so if you're going to weld stainless steel, then obviously you have to have the right gas and the right wire. So to weld stainless steel, I'm going to use my MIG welder, and I'm using argon with carbon dioxide. It is about 2% carbon dioxide and 98% argon. And of course, I'm also using stainless steel wire actually to weld. So that should be working out pretty well. I'm not too sure about the bolts, if they're 100% stainless steel. I have seen a little bit of magnetism in it. So maybe they're the cheaper version of stainless steel, but that will work. Now, you can also weld with your normal feed wire for metal. You can also weld stainless steel, but the weld isn't going to be all that nice or all that good. But to be honest, I'm not a good welder either, so I'm not a professional welder. So now let's see on how we're going to build that little bolt. So first things first, we're going to cut off the head of the bolt, and I'm going to lock it in place. So the next step is to move the bolt to the top. Now you probably saw that we had sparks flying, and not a lot, but that's an indication that it's not fully stainless steel. And now we can actually place the nut on top of it. And now we're going to weld these things together. So the good thing about this vise is that everything is now vertical. I have grooves in these, I don't know what you call them, these metal panels here, or plates, that keeps the bolt straight, and of course the surface is straight as well. So now I can just weld it up. Now before I'm going to weld it up, I'm going to clean it up with some acetone, so at least it's degreased. And you don't want to start welding right away, obviously, because acetone will catch fire. So I'm going to cut off the tip first a bit, and then we have a good clean start, maybe a little bit more. There we go. So now we need to smoothen up the top. All right, so here they are, all grinded up and ready to be installed, as you can see. And this will certainly hold. I might actually have another short weld on the edges here once they are installed. And now we need to weld these bolts into place on the right spot, and therefore I'm going to trial fit the bumper first, and I will spray through the hole some paint, and then I can see it right here where that will be. And I'm going to connect it first on the side, that's where the normal bolt goes in, and then I'm going to try to align it in the front with some tape, and then I'm going to spray some paint from the inside of the bonnet through the hole to see where the marking is. I already cleaned up the stainless steel, so the paint is gone, so I will see the proper mark. Now this is a bit of fiddling sometimes to get it in, so I'm going to have to put my glasses on, because without that I can't see diddly squat. Should go in quite easily, because I kind of cleaned the tread. That's another thing you might have to do sometimes, is clean the tread, because on this specific bumper here I had a bit of an issue with the bolt that is, or the nut that's inside the fender actually. Alright, I think this is for now good enough, and I'm going to try to tape it up. Alright, so this got to go like this more or less, so let me try to hold this up for now, and then we will adjust it later once the bonnet is closed. I just want to hold it in place now. So now I'm going to close the bonnet and try to align things. All right. Right, so as you can see, this is no good. So I'm going to lower this down and see, compare it with the other one, and I think that's about right. I need to put some more tape up so it stays in place, because I don't want to. All right, that can go down a little bit. How far does that come? Yeah, that's about right. Okay, I think this is about right. So now I'm going to open the bonnet, and I'm going to put some paint up from the inside with a spray can, so that I know exactly where the marking is. So let's see where that hole is, and I can see the hole is right there, so I'm going to try to paint on that. Okay, that's good. So I took the bumper back off, and where the black spot is, that's where the bolt is supposed to come. So we're going to weld it on like this, and then we should be good. That's about the middle. Here's a washer, and all right, so I marked that. So now I can place this guy in place, and that should be about right. And we clamp it in place, and I'm just going to give it a very short weld, and then we should be good. So that's in place. It may not be the most prettiest weld in the world, but it is certainly solid enough, and it will hold the bumper. And I just probably will give it a bit of black paint. Oh, it's still pretty hot, so let's wait a while. So let's see if we can put the nut up. It's always a good try before we mount things, and that feels all right. So let's put the bumper up. I welded in the bolt, so now we should be able to fix it and install it. Okay, and I think this is looking quite good. To be very honest, this is looking really good. So I'm going to bolt it now from the inside in the bonnet, and then we have another check. All right, so I'm loading the car so I can open up the bonnet, and then we can put a bolt at the inside or nut at the inside with a big washer. Let's see if we can get to it. It might be a little bit tricky, but where are you? Okay. So finally I got the bumper in place, and it took me about an hour to get it all aligned, get it welded up, and then install it. So it's not too bad, and I got the nice spacing here, so that's good. I think this looks quite all right. It may be sitting a little bit high on this side, but that's still something I can adjust, because I can undo these nuts or bolts and then toggle it a bit and then put the spacer in between the two, so to get it properly aligned. I might actually do that once I've done the other side, just to make sure they look exactly the same. But for now, I'm quite happy with what I have. So let's see if this is going to fit or not. Alright, so now I'm going to put the bolt at the inside and then see. But first of all, let me close the bonnet once and see what it does. If this is a bit aligned or not. And I think this looks quite good. So we are now 2 hours later, and the front bumpers are installed, so that wasn't too bad. So now I'm going to do the back side, and that's a bit more crawling inside the passenger's cabin to get to the bolts. But it's the same mechanism I'm going to apply, so I'm not going to bother you showing on how I do the back side. It's exactly the same methodology. So it is not all that hard to correct these bumpers, as you have seen. So the rear bumper went on quite easily. The only drawback is you have to take the interior out to a large extent, the carpets and the seats, to be able to get to it. But once you got that removed, it was quite easy to get this rear bumper installed. And you've seen the adjustments we've done before. I did it the same way in the back here, and now I still have to do one more on the left rear side, and then we are done. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.